here we go. Around the vise and up on the table.
What's up everybody, Average Joe here. Today's video might be a special treat because inside of this box right here, there should be 5 brand spanking new lithium iron phosphate cells from REPT. And what's so special about these, a few things, is they're not even out on the market yet. And if they are, they've only been out on the market for like a week. The second thing is they've got some new like technology happening inside of these batteries, which I'll hopefully explain a little bit later. So anyway, in this video, what we're gonna be doing is unboxing the box, of course, taking a look at the batteries, and then we're going to be doing a capacity test with the ZKE tester back there, the little blue tester. We're probably going to do a 30 or 40 amp discharge or capacity test. First, obviously, we'll charge them up to 3.65 volts, let them rest for probably only like a minute or two, honestly. And then we'll probably drain them all the way down to 2.5 volts and then obviously see what the results are. And then after the capacity test, we'll bring them back over here. We're gonna build a 4S battery and then we're going to do some high capacity. We're gonna hit it with some high power stuff. We're gonna try to hit it with like, I don't know, 175 or 200 amps and see how well they react. All right, so let's get to it. Ooh, look at that. They actually have bus bars right on them. Boom, there we go. 5 brand new cells, or at least 5 brand new, and it looks like they might have tested them because there is some marks right there. Okay, so this one over here does not have any markings on there. Doesn't mean they didn't test it or anything like that, but this is a 280 amp hour cell, and these 4 right here are 320 amp hours. Now I know the next thing you're going to say is nobody makes a 320 amp hour cell, and if they do, they're lying. Well, I think we got some right here. All right, we got all the tape off the bus bars, and speaking of bus bars, this isn't how it would normally show up to like you or me. This is just basically what the manufacturer did so they could do their own testing, and then whenever they're done, they just sent them off to me so I could do, you know, my own testing and the video. Since it is the manufacturer, it's basically just going to be the smooth surface up here, and then when they give it to the reseller or whoever they give it to, you know, next in line, the next person in line is going to be the person that, you know, welds on the stud, or I guess if you wanted to have bus bars welded on at that time, you could also do that. But I do want to say that these bus bars, they're really nice and beefy. I guess the first thing we can do real quick is I can put on, you know, it's like the belly test. Of course, I can't do it very well on this side since the bus bars are there, but it is super, super flat. I know it's hard to tell, but I'll lay it down and do the rock test. There's no rocking or anything like that. They're super smooth. There's no bloating, there's no dings or dents or anything like that like we would get from, you know, Alibaba or AliExpress or anything like that. There's nothing on the bottom, so maybe the reseller puts the little black, you know, cover on the bottom. Do a quick look at the other ones to make sure they're not messed up, and I don't see any dings or absolutely anything wrong with these, honestly. There's just nothing wrong with them. Completely smooth. This one, yeah, they're just beautiful, beautiful batteries. Boom. All right, so what we have here are some brand spanking new REPT lithium iron phosphate cells, obviously at 3.2 volts. We have 4 that are 320 amp hours, and then right over here we have one that is 280 amp hours. All of these are so new that they're not even on the market yet. And I believe the 280 amp hour cell right here has some super secret squirrel stuff inside that they don't even want to tell me yet. It's that new and I guess that exciting. So anyway, there's a few other really cool things about these 320 amp hour cells that makes them 320 amp hour cells. All right, so a regular cell that we're all used to, you know, a regular 280 amp hour cell, the cells inside basically only come up so high, and there's a 15 millimeter gap at the top. What they did is just made it a little bit taller, which leaves only an 8mm space up here. So they just basically made the cell a little bit taller. Plus what they did, the wending design is instead of a really long, wire basically from the terminal to the cell inside, and those are like 32mm long. I guess it's really, really long. I guess what they did is made two short 13mm wires, for each side. So same dimensions, just a higher capacity by 10%. They're basically the highest energy dense battery, in this size right here. Like I said, the tabs that come off the terminals up here, they're decreased by 60%, plus there's two of them, which increases the ion transfer speed up to 30%. And another thing that they're saying is you can actually get up to 335 amp hours out of these batteries. Of course, we're going to test that. If we don't get 335, that's just fine. As long as we get at least 320, we're going to be happy. And they're also saying you get a stable life cycle exceeding 10,000 cycles, and that's at 70% DOD. And of course, these cells also come with a couple of the UL certifications. So they got the 9540A, the 1973, and IEC 626. All right, here's a closer view of the top. Of course, there's not really much to see because these aren't really the, the bus bars and studs and stuff aren't something that we would typically see. But anyway, black is always positive. White is always negative. It does have the laser etched QR code on there, which we will scan here in a minute and see if anything even shows up. But there you go. The pressure relief port looks really, really nice. And these, they actually protrude out the top a little bit, at least the cover does. So that's something a little bit different than, at least what I'm used to seeing. All right, so here's a fun little, well, I don't know if it's fun fact or not, but we have a few different years worth of REPT cells right here. So this one is my Alibaba cell that I bought a couple of years ago. These are 280 amp hours. A few years ago, they were making these just a tad bit shorter. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's just a few, a few millimeters shorter. A few years ago, I think I bought these in 2021. These are a 22 and these are a 23. And of course, here's the other 280 amp hour cell. Again, it is a little bit taller. Oh, actually, here's another thing that I'm noticing. All right, so just forget the studs are on here, just the pad right there. So the 280 amp hour cells, they're all this smaller pad size. And the 320, those pads are huge. I wonder if I can measure that for you real quick. All right, so in this direction right here, it's basically 23 millimeters, 25, 23. Okay, all right, so these are 25 by 23, and then these monsters over here, okay, 34 by 34. All right, so that is a huge improvement, massive upgrade on the terminal size. Way to go. Mini pad, maxi pad, the evolution of REPT cells. All right, enough of me talking. Let's get to the capacity testing. So, like I said earlier, we're going to be using the ZKE tester right over there. That is a 40 amp tester. So I think that's what I'm going to do is just charge them up to 3.65 volts. I'm going to blast them with 40 amps. I'm going to let them sit for maybe like a minute or two, and then I'm going to discharge them all the way down to 2.5 volts at 40 amps. But of course, I need to number the batteries real quick so we don't lose track. And Lauren gave me a brand new white pen to use. And it's got bubbles on it. It's called Milky Pop. Ha! Yeah. All right, so this is going to be cell 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you guys want me to weigh the cells? Let's do it real quick. Give me 1 sec. We'll weigh all 4 of the brand new ones. We'll weigh the 2022 model and then the 2021 model, my Alibaba cells. All right, are we done here? Yeah, all right. All right, if you can see it, it is 5.855 kilograms. All right, that's cell 1. Cell 2 is 5.835 kilograms. Cell 3 is 5.845 kilograms. Clear. Cell 4 is 5.840 kilograms. So they're all really, really close. Brand new 280 amp hour is 5.600 kilograms. So just a little bit lighter. Okay, this is the 2022 model. It is 5.440 kilograms. And then my 2021 model is 5.340 kilograms. Again, 280 amp hour cell, just a little bit lighter than all of these. So there you go. All right, you guys convinced me. We are going to do the voltage and internal resistance check. If you're interested, I'm going to be using a YR1030 internal resistance checker here. Let me make sure we're cleared. 3.29 volts, 0.20 milliohms. 3.29 volts, 0.23, 3.29, and 0.20 milliohms. And then the last one, 3.29, 0.20. We'll do the 280 amp hour cell, 3.29 volts, 0.19 milliohms. Alrighty, now we're gonna get to the capacity testing. Turn you on, got a real nice tight connection on here, looking real good. Here we go, start. Test has begun.
4 to 6 days later.
Alrighty, on to the results, which everybody has been waiting for. So I made a little spreadsheet, of course, to help explain or show all the results. So anyway, over here on the left is the internal resistance check. I'm not going to go over that because we did that on camera. Same for the weight over here in kilograms. That was on camera. Everybody wants to know what we got in amp hours and watt hours. So I'm just going to say real quick, these are the biggest cells that I've ever tested to date. So anyway, like I said, we used the ZKE tester at 40 amps. All right, we charged up to 3.65 volts, let them sit there for about 2 minutes, and then we did the 40 amp discharge test. So cell number one, we got 332.9 amp hours. Watt hours was 1,073, and then the biggest cell so far is 334.30 amp hours. That right there is the biggest cell that I have ever tested, and it's right under what they were claiming that you could get up to 335 amp hours. So we almost hit it right there. Anyway, watt hours for that one was 1,077. Cell 3 and 4 both got 333 amp hours. Watt hours, again, were really, really close. And then finally, of course, I did the 280 amp hour cell, and we got 302.198 amp hours out of that. Isn't that freaking crazy? Holy crap, this is unfreaking believable. Finally, we do have real 320 amp hour cells. And then finally, if you do want to see the results from the ZKE tester, that is right here. For this graph right up here on top, don't mind this at the beginning. That's basically the charge cycle. Since this was cell number one, I used it to charge the cell, and then I started the test. So that's why it's kind of pushed over here to the right. And then the other cells, 2, 3, and 4, are right over here in the orange, blue, and green, and they're pretty much identical all the way down. And then finally in the purple is the 280 amp hour cell, which again looks pretty similar to the 320 amp hour cells. All the results are right down here, which I just showed you. And again, right over here is cell 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the 280 amp hour cell. All right, now on to the high load testing. Basically right now I'm fumbling around to figure out the best way to set up these cells because the bus bars were already attached. Basically we're gonna be putting a high load on the cells to see how they handle and see how the voltage bounces back. When we do this test, we basically find out if the cells are good or bad. All right, I finally got this all set up. So let me give you just a quick little rundown and then we'll get the test started. All right, starting it off, this is the Batrium BMS. This is the Watchman 4. I'm a real big fan of Batrium because it gives you all sorts of information and you can do all sorts of really cool stuff. Coming off of here, we go over to the battery setup right here. This is about the best configuration that I could come up with to make it a little bit safe because every single battery already had the bus bars welded to them. Coming off of each battery, we have its own cell monitor. These are called Longmons. They're long cell monitors. Each one of these are connected to each battery. So we have 4 Longmons, 1 per battery. What's cool about these, like I said, is they just give us accurate information, voltages, etc. All right, also off of here, we do have the Batrium shunt, so this will give us accurate power. And then we go into the 12 volt, 2000 watt Powerwaller pure sine wave, low frequency inverter. And then off of that, we connect to a really old janky circuit breaker box that I set up right here with 3 outlets right here. I ran 3 just so I could run 3 separate 20 amp outlets, okay? And then from there, we've got 2 1500 watt heaters right here that we will be using. And then we also have 3 150 watt light bulbs right over here. All right, so right over here we have the Watchman Toolkit. This is the Batrium BMS software. It gives us a great visual representation of what's going on. So each one of these blue bars are the cell monitors, one per each cell. So cell 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right up here is your lowest and highest voltage cell. Right over here we have the shunt voltage, or the entire battery pack voltage. Right over here is the shunt amps, and right over here is the shunt watts. All of the information over here you don't really have to look at. All right, so basically whenever we start the test, we kind of want to keep an eye on everything, but the visual part will be right here in each one of the blue bars, and then we'll see the lowest voltage cell up here. And we're basically going to keep an eye on the shunt watts and amps right over here. All right, we're going to go ahead and get the test started. So the first thing I'm going to do is just unplug the inverter just to give you an idea of what's going to happen on the screen here. All right, so here we go, unplugging. All right, there you go. So inverter is unplugged and we're drawing 1.74 amps or 25 watts. All right, that's just gonna give you an idea of what's going on. All right, first test is gonna be the 3 150 watt light bulbs. There we go. All right, I really didn't see a sag or anything like that. We're drawing 27 amps or 384 watts. Lowest cell right now is 3.48. All right, I would say that really didn't drop very much. All right, there we go. Just turn that off. We'll let it rest for a second. All right, next test is going to be one heater on low. Here we go. All right, I really didn't get to see much of a sag there. It looks like our lowest cell is 3.33. Drawing 68 amps, 930 watts. Our cells have dropped down to 3.29 volts. All right, let me turn that back off. We'll let it rest. All right, next test is going to be all 3 light bulbs with the heater on low. Here we go. Heater's going to go on low. Now we're drawing roughly 90 amps right there. Cell 1 dropped down to 3.13 volts. Oh, we might have a weak one there, or maybe my connections are not very good. But anyway, test will go on. All right, we'll turn that off. Oh yeah, my connections. All right, we might have to start this test over. My battery connection right here was not even tight. All right, that is 100% my bad. I don't know how I missed that. This one was not even tight at all. I don't know what happened here. All right, I might have messed up the test, but I think we're gonna continue on. My most negative battery post right here, or terminal, was not tight. So we're gonna start with the light bulbs first. Yeah, there you go. Cell 1 is holding on now, so 3.39. That was 100% my bad. So we're drawing 27 amps, not much of a sag at all. All right, turn that back off. Now we're going to go with the heater on low. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's way better. All right, so we're drawing 69 amps, 900 watts. Cells only drop down to 3.35 volts. Okay, turn that off. Let it sit for a second. All right, next test is going to be the light bulbs and the heater on low. Here we go. There's the light bulbs. Here goes the heater on low. Now we're drawing 88 amps or 1160 watts. Cells only drop down to 3.31 volts. I would say that's doing way better than before. Fantastic. All right, let me turn those off. Okay, next test is going to be the heater on high. Here we go. All right, so we're drawing 116 amps. Cells only drop down to 3.28 volts. I would say that's doing fan-freaking-tastic. 1500 watts. All right, let me turn that off. Let them bounce back a little bit. All right, next test is going to be all 3 light bulbs and the heater on high. Here we go. Light bulbs, heater. All right, 174 amps, 2260 watts, 3.25 volts, 3.24 volts, and look at that, they're all nice and equal. Very good, very, very good. All right, let me turn that off, let them bounce back. Yeah, I would say these cells are probably some of the best cells that I have tested so far. Usually what happens is 1 or 2 will drop down a little further than the other ones, and so far these are staying, well, damn near perfect. That's nice. I'm going to attempt to do 2 heaters, but we'll probably overload the inverter, but we'll see what happens. First heater on low. All right, this heater is drawing roughly 100 amps. Cells drop down to 3.26. All right, next heater is gonna go on low. All right, 190 amps, which I think we've already done. 3.21, 3.22. I would say it's doing really, really good. All right, let me turn that back off. All right, next test, one heater is gonna be on high and the second heater is gonna be on low. Here we go. One heater on high, drawing 119 amps, and here we go for the next heater. All right, 250 amps, 3,200 watts. Oh man, I missed it. We overloaded the inverter. Let me get this reset here. All right, we're back on. We're sitting at 3.31, 3.32. So I'm gonna attempt to do this test again so I can see everything. Here we go. All right, we dropped down to 3.18, 3.19. Wow. Yeah, I would say these cells right now are the very best that I have had so far. Wow, that was nice. All right, I'm gonna reset the inverter because I wanna try to get right at 2,000 watts for a little bit longer time. See if we can drop these cells down a little bit or not. I don't know, I'll see what happens. All right, inverter's back on. Let's see if I can get that dialed in here. We'll just do this heater on low. All right, we're drawing 100 amps. I'm gonna do this one on low as well. We'll see what this does. 2,400 watts, 190 amps. Drawing oh wow, look at that. 3.21, 3.22 at 190 amps. That is fan-freaking-tastic. Not much of a sag at all. I'm gonna pop the light bulbs on real quick. 2,700 watts, 222 amps. Look at that. Only dropped down to 3.18, 3.19. Still running. There we go. Inverter just shut off. All right, well, there you go. I would say these cells did fan-freaking-tastic. Right now, the cells are recovering, if you will, and we're bouncing back up real nice and equal. Wow, excellent, excellent cells. Boom, there you go. Testing is complete. All right, so a quick little recap just in case you skipped over the entire video right to the end. All right, we did the IR test and they all landed anywhere from 0.20 to 0.22 milliohms. The weight, they were all around 5.84-ish kilograms. And the 40 amp capacity test, we landed 332 all the way up to 334 amp hours. And the 280, we got 302. Even the high drain test, after my little terminal mishap, did fan-freaking-tastic. The cells held on or grunted, you know, even at 250 amps, the cells dropped down to 3.18 volts or something like that. You know, it did that fan-freaking-tastically. Is that a word? I don't know, it could be. Overall, you know what I'm gonna say, they did fan-freaking-tastic. Okay, I don't wanna keep you guys any longer than I have to because this video's gone on long enough. I wanna give REPT a big shout out for sending out these cells for me to test and share the results with you. I also wanna give them another shout out because whenever I was down at the RE Expo this year, I met some of their reps and they're just really nice people. And of course, if anybody else wants to find information about these cells that I tested, I'm gonna have links to their website down below. All right, so if anybody's wondering about the price, these are gonna be $95 and they're gonna come with a 3-year warranty. But I don't know if that's gonna be direct or from a reseller. Once I have that information, I'll be sure to put it in the description box down below. All right, well, that's pretty much all I got. I wanna thank everybody for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, make sure you put those down below. If anybody thought this video was helpful in any way, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like that smash button, and maybe I will see you on the. That is 5 point. Can I see that? Let's see. And then